Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of What's So Funny, a show that talks about the funny with the people who make it happen. Now, our guest this week is a friend who, despite her name, is not only up for the garden, she's hilarious, a giant in the field of gnomed shows. Wherever she goes, you want to take her home. It's the one and only Shirley Gnome. And of course, we have your host, a man who enjoys the heat because he gets to stay inside in his air-conditioned house and not talk to anybody. It's Guy McPherson.
Hey, that's not true. No air conditioning here. But thanks, Sam, and welcome back, Shirley.
Thank you for having me back. It's such a pleasure.
Do you know this is your... How many times do you think you've done the show?
Lost count.
This is your fifth time.
Oh, wow.
The Five Club.
Oh, I'm in.
You are in, and your last time with us, 2017.
Oh, that's a big gap. That's a hefty gap.
Yeah, lots happen. What would your snooker nickname be, Shirley Gnome, if Sam were to introduce you with a nickname in between?
Like snooker, like the billiards game?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Sam was just telling me before you showed up that in snooker, they always give somebody a nickname, and Sam said his would be...
The Sloth.
Sam the Sloth Tawning.
I know what yours would be, Shirley, and because
You
you pot balls in snooker, right? So you pot them. You'd be the garden potter.
Oh, that's a lot more wholesome than what I thought of.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of talk about sinking the pink, but that's a different issue.
It's a... Yes.
Yeah,
It
and then hit the
is.
brown.
Oh, wow. I mean, all in a day's work, I suppose.
I guess, yeah. Hey, what you do at the Legion is up to you.
Exactly.
Did you have a better one? Were you going to say, Shirley?
It was definitely gonna be a ball related thing. I'm not super knowledgeable on the game of snooker, but I was gonna say something like the ball potter or balls to the felt or something like that.
Yeah.
This is the fifth time you've been with us, and I don't know that I know your interests outside of being filthy and singing.
I don't
playing the
have any other
guitar.
interests. I'm not a well-rounded individual. I'm oblong, and at one point it's music, and the other point is fucking. No, I do
And
have
then you
other
mix the
interests.
two perfectly.
Oh, why
But
thank
you're
you.
not a fan of any sport or game?
I do not understand a sport. When a
Hmm.
sporting happens, I go, ooh, a sports has happened. I see the people are wearing their cosplay today. Hooray! Everyone likes a costume. But no, I don't really follow sports. I used to like hockey when I was a kid. I really like, when I was a kid growing up with the Canucks, loved them. But then when Bertuzzi sucker punched that guy, I kind of lost my innocent
Yeah.
love of the game. I never watched it after that.
I agree. It's weird. That's the
Huh.
same experience. When that happened, I was like, this is a violent sport. And I'm not interested. If I want to watch that, I'll watch boxing. But at least
Right.
there are rules. But I'm not going to sucker punch a guy in the back of the head and that'd be okay.
Yeah. I feel like it was kind of like this rude awakening that a lot of people experience, especially growing up with the Canucks and growing up with Trevor Linden and, idealizing these guys as these sort of heroes and thinking that was like the game was a noble game. But, that was a moment where you saw the really dark side of it, I think.
What about those dropping your gloves and smashing each other in the face part made you think it was a noble game?
Oh, fair enough. I guess everyone got so excited about it. I thought it was normal. I was a kid. What did I know? Like, ooh, and this is the part where they fight. It's like a boxing match in the middle of it. And they're so passionate about hockey, they have to hit each other about it.
Yeah, sometimes when they don't see it coming. But you mentioned their costumes. That's funny. Like, of course, they're costumes. I'd never looked at it that way before. And you say cosplay.
It's cosplay. It's socially acceptable cosplay.
Yeah.
That's what I think. It's just, it's not superhero stuff. For some reason, people are like, oh, it's a jersey. It's fine. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and yet they are superheroes to The fans.
2 children before they get traumatized by Todd Richardson.
You are a fan of costumes. You've got some pretty good ones yourself. What's your favorite costume that you've ever worn?
That's easy. I actually posted a photo of it today from 5 years ago because it came up in my photos. It is a jumpsuit or a pantsuit, like a one-piece that my friend Melody Mangler made for me. And it's sort of a Dolly Parton-esque kind of an outfit. It's very like aqua color. With big bell bottoms on the legs and big bell bottoms on the sleeves, and then there's all this like bedazzling and sequins on the chest part that go up, and it looks like a bunch of flowers. But if you look really carefully, Melody Mangler created dicks out of sequins that are shooting pearls out over my outfit. But it doesn't look like that from a distance. You have to really be like, look at this special flower. So I like that. Not only is it made so well, but it's just such a sneaky, like, hidden thing that you can't unsee it once you see it. And I love that.
And when you wear something just over the top like that, does that like give you a boost of confidence or adrenaline or something when you go out in front of the crowd? Because it's just that next level of showmanship.
Yes. It depends on the show. It depends on the context of that outfit. Because if I, wear that if I'm doing a theater show or I'm hosting a burlesque festival or something like that, then I feel like I'm right in my element. I'm at this sort of place of glamour I need to be. But if I tried to wear that and, rocked up at an indie stand-up comedy venue in Vancouver, I would feel very overdressed and it would be weird and everyone in the crowd would be like, who is this crazy lady? So it just I gotta choose my moments to go full out with my fashion.
Shirley Gnome, you're too big for a little indie show in Vancouver now.
Oh, that's not true. I actually still like doing those every now and again. I don't do them that often, but I do. If somebody that I like and respect asked me to come do a show, I'll go do it.
Because I know I was looking at your website from 1996. It was made to look that way. Mm-hmm. But you've had reviews from all over the world, all over Canada, Orlando in the States, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, New York, Edinburgh. So many comedians would beg to get a review somewhere. And just like everywhere you go, people are writing about you.
Why, thanks. I have no comment. You're right. I am amazing. Good night. Why am I even talking to you people? I'm too good for all of this. Goodbye. I'm off to... Never mind.
You got to get off co-op radio. You're going to go for the big leagues.
Oh, yeah. Some Jock Jam morning shows. Sounds great. Yeah.
I think there's a jazz network that would... I don't know.
Jazz network.
But I mean, really, like so many comics, right? Like,
yes,
it's because you're doing something different.
Yes, it is a big part of it.
Yeah, and just the look, and it's the musicianship too, which is outstanding.
Thank you.
And then just the filthy language that comes out of your mouth
on occasion.
Is there a song that you have recorded that hasn't had something that would need to be bleeped?
Yes, my new album has like 3 of those. In fact. Oh yeah, it's shocking to me too, but it just happened that way.
So you didn't set out just to try something different. Let me try to write something that doesn't need to be bleeped.
I never set out to be specifically explicit or not explicit. I just do what feels right for the song and what I think is funny. So in the last album, my choice was I wanted to actually break out and talk about different topics outside of sex and relationships. So I started experimenting with that a little bit on the previous album, and people really responded to that, and it gave me a bit of confidence to keep going with it. So the new album has different genres of music, and it also has different topics. And some of that just didn't call for, sexual innuendo because it wasn't about that. So
it's not innuendo, Shirley.
Okay, sexual wendo.
Explicit. Yeah, that's right. But so when you say in your last album, you sort of tinkered with that a bit. What were the subjects that got you off on that different path?
The one that comes to mind immediately is a song called Mercy, aka the Yappy Dog song, which I mean, I could play it for you at some point, or I could tell you about it. But essentially,
I think you played it for us
You
once
did,
in the
yeah.
studio. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that track is just about. I mean, essentially, I moved away from the arousal state related to sex to the arousal state related to anger. So it's still true to like primal emotion, let's say, but it was more about doing a murder on an irresponsible dog owner. So.
Murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in the new, you say there's 3 new songs. What are the subjects that don't require?
It's a really good question. I don't remember off the top of my head. I have a really hard time remembering my own songs, but if I look up a track listing, I'll remember. Give me a second. This is why I always have a set list, because I could never just do a show from memory, like, oh, I'll do this song next. I can't actually remember anything I've ever written. I don't know why my brain.
Because you've written so many songs.
Maybe that's why.
Is it a clean song if it's still off of a record called Decoxification?
Yes. Well, you look, I hummed and hawed about that. I'm like, maybe I should give this album a different title that isn't a sex pun for once. But then I just
no, it's great.
It around and everyone was like, no, what are you even talking about? So
you don't want to misrepresent yourself. You can have some songs, but if it was like Shirley Gnome presents live music and comedy, and then I come up here and it's just a song about fucking, I'm going to be more disappointed. I'm actually going to be scared,
Yes.
And high-waisted, oh, man.
What about it?
It's excellent. But if I saw that and I was expecting clean comedy,
sure,
I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah, that's fair.
What happens in Vancouver?
Okay, so I'm looking at the songs now. There is a song called Coffee, which is about drinking coffee. There is a song called Nickelback's Not So Bad.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
That one has no swears in it. Wait, maybe it has one. Shit. Okay. Crying. No, that one has a swear in it. American Boys. That one has innuendo in it, legitimate innuendo, but it has no swearing in it.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Hey, and we should say that your album has come out on 604 Records, owned by the Nickelback guy. What's his name?
Chatty Crogs.
Chatty
Crogs.
And have you met him?
He walked past me in the hallway once.
Has he heard your song? Has any of the Nickelback guys?
He heard it. This is the thing. The label is legitimately all about letting us talk about whatever we want. But the exception is, if you want to make fun of Nickelback, you got to run it by the head of the label. And usually, most people's jokes are kind of hacky, because the Nickelback jokes are generally kind of hacky at this point. So the head of the label goes, I'm not going to show this to Chad for approval. It's fuck this. But when I wrote this song and my producer Kevy heard it, he's like, we have to try to get this on the album. Let's just try. Even if we don't get it to Chad, let's make our goal to get it to Chad. And if he says no, then at least Chad heard you singing like this, because that's what I do in the song. So we did a demo. We sent it up to the label. They liked it, and enough that they sent it on to Chad. And Chad took a listen, and we eagerly waited for the email with what he said. And the first thing he said was, it's kind of stupid. Let me think about it. Oh. And then we were thrilled. Like, oh my God, he listened to it. Because that was the goal, right? We'd already won at that point. But then Chad sent it to the guitar player in Nickelback, whose name is escaping me right now. And he loved it, and he thought it was super funny, and he thought I had a great voice and was really supportive. So that convinced Chad that it was a good idea. And here we are with my track about Nickelback.
That is great, because had he said, that's kind of stupid, let me think about it, you could have said, I'm going to change the title to Nickelback is So Bad.
It's true. I was in a position of power, wasn't I?
Yeah, and then just released it on YouTube or something.
Well, yeah, when my recording contract ran out, I'd be like, finally I could speak my truth without Chad stepping on my neck.
But do you really believe they're not so bad?
I do, actually. Yeah. I mean, the whole song kind of flip-flops between both sides of that argument. But really, I think that their vilification, especially in Canada, was really uncalled for. And mostly it's just about people get really mad when something they don't like is successful because it makes them feel devalued in their own personal taste. And I feel like that's what that was about. So I was kind of making fun of people who had such a hate on for a fucking band. You know, like, what, could you have better things to do with your time? But the joke was that the only reason I was even made to even think about this is because Chad is responsible for saving my career. So I suddenly had a new perspective of maybe I should, not be so hard on the guy. And maybe I shouldn't just be doing these jokes about Nickelback being shitty like everyone else does. And what is this all about? So the whole song kind of goes through that entire thought process.
What kind of reaction has the song received?
Oh, awesome. People love that song. They love it. People both who don't like Nickelback and people who do like Nickelback both like it. And I think that's the sign of success for me.
Yeah, I know Mike Kaplan. Do you know Mike Kaplan?
I don't think so.
He's been a guest on the show a couple times. He's a New York comic, and he has a bit on his latest album about Nickelback. Mm-hmm. And in fact, last time he was a guest on the show, I'd seen him perform this at Yuck Yucks, I think it was. And I said, hey, you should get 604 to release your next album. But of course, he didn't.
Oh,
but
wow.
yeah, there is that. You're kind of giving permission too for people to just go, hey, ease up now. It's just a band. You like them or you don't like them, but who cares?
Yeah, it's just and it's the larger thing about like art and personal taste, and like something like Nickelback, it makes millions of people happy, so there must be something good about it. And even if you don't see that, it doesn't mean it's not true. And you don't have to like it, and you don't have to listen to it, and you just let those people have a good time. The same thing. I like all this weird indie shit, and I'm sure there's tons of people be like, "What the fuck are you listening to?" And it doesn't mean that my taste is bad or I shouldn't like those things. It's just that.
Well, let us be the judge of that, Shirley. I asked you if you were a sports fan, so tell us who you like. Who do you listen to when you're just playing tunes? Do you put it on shuffle, by the way, or do you go album by album?
Shuffle. Ugh, you just asked me.
I'm just asking how you do it.
I'm just kidding. Nothing wrong with that. Like, I listen to. Gee, I like to make my own playlists sometimes, but I find that's usually a pretty temporary thing. Like if I just have a bunch of songs stuck in my head, I'll throw them on a list. I'll listen to that a fuck ton, and then I'll be like, good, done with that. Spit it out like bubble gum. But I like listening to full albums, and I guess a lot of the last couple of years I've spent touring a lot of music festivals in Canada, so that's how I've discovered a lot of artists. So I really like a lot of local people now, and I listen to their albums, and I try to keep tabs on them when they have new shit. And
well, give us some names.
Oh, well, I love Jeff Berner. Jeff Berner is somebody I actually feel like I learned a few chops from. He wouldn't ever call himself a musical comedian, but his songs they're folk klezmer. They're very creative. They're very funny. They're clever. They're political.
And his brother has been a guest on this program, Toby Berner.
Oh, really?
He's an improviser.
Oh, that's right. I did know that.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah.
No, what's so funny?
Before with the, oh, shut up. I've had that happen across streams with the Burners a few times where I'm talking about Jeff Berner and one of my comedian friends talks about Toby Berner. So I didn't know that, but he's awesome. His live performances, he was one of the first people I saw play music and then just stop in the middle of a song and start cracking jokes and then go back into the song, which I do all the time now, and I learned it from him. So yeah, he's a big inspiration. There's a folk singer from the island called Carolyn Mark who does.
I know Carolyn. I used to be at CFUV Radio in Victoria with Carolyn.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. So Carolyn is awesome. She has great songs, great lyrics. They're catchy, they're beautiful, they're thoughtful, they're funny, they're like wonderful. So I'm a big fan. Currently going through that discography quite intensely.
That's great. That's great.
I mean, I could blab about this forever, but yeah, local people for sure.
Well, if I run out of questions, we'll blab about it some more at the end. Okay. Now you got to scroll down to the bottom of the page and do a cold read for us.
What? Oh, God. This is Shirley Gnome, and you're listening to What's So Funny on CFRO 100.5 FM, Vancouver, Coop Radio. Got it.
Yay!
Very well done. Wow. She didn't even need to read that ahead of time.
No, just nailed it.
Yeah. Hey, Shirley, every time you've been with us, you have brought your guitar.
That's true. Every time.
Every single time. And you have played us. You've serenaded us in studio. Well, we're not in studio now, but you have your guitar because you're at home.
I am at home, and I do have my guitar.
And you're going to play us a song?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, yeah, I know I talked about clean songs. It could be clean or dirty. It doesn't matter. Whichever you feel like playing.
Ooh, okay. That opens up a lot more options.
Yeah.
You know what? I said that American Boys doesn't have swears in it. I think that that's true. I think all of the sexual words in it are all textbook ones. And I'd like you to hear it, and you can tell me if you think it's a quote unquote explicit song or not.
All right.
I think it's apropos of the time. This is my sort of pseudo political track.
I'd like to hear it. It's kind of like your version of American Woman.
Yeah, it kind of is. I did not put that together. If you have any more, insight into my career, I'd really appreciate it, because I have absolutely none. So
I'll message you later.
Awesome. Sounds great. American boys, you only want me for my citizenship. To Canada, you want a one-way trip. Your nation is on fire. You're rising with the smoke. Way up high, up to my borderline. You want to give it a little poke. You say you love my heart, you love my body, love my mind. You say you cannot find a gal in your own land that is as good a gal as I ask you to say naughty things, but much to my surprise, you moan and whisper, ooh, I'm getting so naturalized. You say your heart is kind, your heart is honest, heart is true. But I can see you calculating how your money's gonna jump up in value. You want Medicare and gun control, and loving me is the tax. I wish that I could trust you to just use me for sex. Is that too much to ask, American boys? You clear your browser history of all you've read, but I still find immigration papers underneath the bed. You casually mention that I could be an American too. Well, okay, yeah, I guess, I mean, no thanks. All the Yankee boys who came before, I kicked every one of them out my front door. Sat on my Chesterfield, cried into my poutine. Another victim of this new American dream. Well, I thought that they were into me, thinking how they red, white, and blew me away with cunnilingus, which is the technical term for performing oral sex on a vulva. Now, I know it's a little bit uncouth of me to just unpack an innuendo like that, but I know that sex education is really lacking, especially in the States. So I just want to make, the best of this opportunity to get the right information out there. All right. American boys, if you're willing to take this all the way, is a good Canadian gal somebody you'd betray? But if you only want to mess around with me, that suits me just fine. 'Cause I'll visit for a while, then I'll head back north in style. My face will have a smile, cheap gas for every mile, and a trunk so full of wine as I leave you in exile. Oh, you hot Yankees got a little spite, a permanent resident of my heart. But that's it.
Yay. Wow.
Yeah, fantastic.
Shirley Gnome, that is great. And so let me just go over some of these lyrics. You mentioned a poke.
A little poke.
Yeah.
Okay, this
I
is a
think
great analysis. I'm excited. Okay, yes, a little poke.
you're excited. Yeah, so maybe kids wouldn't even get that reference because you could poke somebody, like in Facebook, you poke someone, hey, how are you?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
And then red, white, and blue me. But then you save it with away. You blew me away. So that is, that is fine.
But
That is
then I ruin
clever
it again.
with cunnilingus.
Yes.
But as you say, that is textbook.
It's a textbook term, and it's a textbook moment, really. That's what that whole thing was about. It's a textbook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, that's well done. That is art.
Hey, that's the nicest thing I've heard all day.
Have you had a bad day? Have you had a bad day, Shirley?
To be honest, I'm having a pretty good day, but
oh, that's
no
good.
one said that I've made art today, so thanks for that.
Did you meet an American boy?
I've met several.
It's a good day.
Today? Have I met Americans today?
It's a bad joke.
Okay. Sorry to point that out, Sam.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry.
Is that story or is that song based on a true story?
Not particularly. It was sort of based on, well, kind of. I mean, it's an amalgam of different experiences, and I tour a lot. I do actually tour a lot, or I did tour a lot in America in the last couple of years, and there was a definite, as soon as you said the C word, Canadian, people got real sad. And I did have, I've had a few gentlemen callers, suitors, showing interest in me, and it wasn't necessarily like they didn't take it to the point where I was like, you're using me for my citizenship. But in the back of my head, I was like, gee, these American boys are pretty excited about, trying to keep in contact with me. Oh, I get it. And that's sort of where the song came from.
That's funny because normally I think maybe a few years ago and for decades before that, you would think it's the other way around. You want to use them to get into the States.
Green cards and whatnot. Yes, absolutely. How the tables have turned.
Yeah. Do you have any desire or did you in the past
I
moving
did.
down there?
Yeah. I thought a lot about, I really like New York City, and I've played a lot of shows there, and I've been really warmly received there in a way that felt special. And that city is, of course, one of the most amazing places in the world. And it's very expensive to live there. It's very expensive to immigrate. So it was never something I was really able to do. I could have maybe run myself into massive amounts of debt to give it a shot in the Big Apple, but I wasn't really all that interested in that. Just seemed impractical in some ways. And now, the way things are going, that dream seems to be withering on the vine.
So you're happy with your choice?
I am happy. I think I was actually supposed to be in America in April this year, and I was about 5 days away from flying to America before the lockdown started. So I was really close to actually being there when shit hit the fan, and I was really just grateful that the timing had worked out, that I didn't have to deal with coming home during that. So, I lucked out in some ways, and now just looking back, it's just kind of worked out, and that's fine,
Where were you going to be?
We were going to start the tour just outside of New York for rehearsals, and then in New York to start, and then all the way as far west as Denver, as far south as New Orleans, and then back up again in this big loop. So
who is we?
Yes.
Yeah, I've always known Shirley Gnome as a solo artist.
Yes, so I have made some friends. I started as a performer in between burlesque acts back in the day, long time ago. So I've always kept a few friends in that world, even though I don't do as many burlesque shows anymore. But one of them joined up with this traveling burlesque variety review that goes through the States. And they needed a new MC and musical act to run the thing, and asked me to come along. And I did it last year. It was one of the hardest tours I've ever done, but also totally amazing. And I had signed up to do year number 2 with the same people, 2 burlesque performers. And best laid plans and all that. But it was really fun going on tour with people and feeling like that band energy, which I don't I don't often get to do. So
Yeah, you're in it together.
exactly, everything. And it's a really, we did 14,000 kilometers in 5 weeks of driving. It's a lot, and it's nice to have people you could commiserate with as you slog through and try to make the sweet, sweet, funny money.
Has COVID been good for your creative juices?
Absolutely not.
No?
Well, okay, at first, yes. At first, I kind of wanted to, when you have one of those circus acts where they got the plates on the stick and they're spinning the plate and the plate keeps spinning. That was me. Like the plate was still spinning on that stick, even though the hand was not hitting it anymore. And I was like, I just got to keep my career alive. And I did lots of live streams and I started learning how to do all that technically and trying to embrace the medium and cheer people up. And I just drove myself into the ground. It was so hard to try to do that quickly without the technical abilities, without the actual gear. I just sort of a little bit later than some people kind of hit the COVID wall of depression and just slid to the ground going, I don't want to do this anymore. So,
oh, did you?
Yeah. And so I took a chunk of time where I just didn't commit to doing any more online shows. I took some opportunities as they came that were good and I couldn't really turn down and things I wanted to do, but I did gear down quite a bit and just sort of face the reality of the fact that our industry had just sort of fallen in on itself and let that sit for a bit and given myself some time to not worry about it and just do other shit. So that's sort of where I'm at now.
Yeah, and I know live shows are where artists make a lot of their money, but I mean, considering you are a musical act as well, you could survive this just by releasing songs and albums and YouTube videos where you don't need that live audience as much as a stand-up would.
Not as much as a stand-up would, absolutely. And I definitely felt my heart went out to all the stand-ups because without that live audience to work out your material, like you can't create anything new. Whereas I can sit in my house and write a new song and I can, I can show it to, I can record it and show it to people and they can give me feedback. So I am lucky in that sense. And I do know that I will gear up and I will be writing and recording more in the future. And 604 is also going to be making a couple new music videos soon. So I am definitely following in that vein, but I definitely just needed to be grumpy about it for a bit before I was ready to get back in.
Yeah, didn't you at one time do like a song a day or something?
2014, yes, I did. Not a day; it was a song a week.
A song a week.
Yeah.
Wow. So 52 or more songs in 2014.
It was 53 in the end. Yes.
Well, in the end. See, she's doing innuendo all the time. So.
No, I'm not. You are.
But I would think that during the COVID, like you could do a song a week or more.
Yeah,
but no, you didn't.
No, I just I felt too shitty about the fucking world. I got cranky and down about it. I've been it was weird for me to experience that because I'm normally a pretty creative person. I'm the type of person who would give myself the goal of a song a week. But I just I don't know. I did write a song about COVID right at the beginning. And mostly that was just to try to bump up the fact that I'd released an album on March 13th and nobody knew really. And it was like the label's like, let's do another single just to sort of get people back in. It was impossible. I mean, I think some people really like that song, but I think part of the reason I felt down is because I really like this album and I thought I've really hit my stride and this is going to be, I had higher expectations for this one than I think I have before. And then it just, for nothing I could control, it just couldn't float at that moment. And that's okay. But it took me a while to just accept that. And now I'm going to have to get back into it and write some new stuff for this new world. And then that's my job. So got to get to it.
In the before times,
yes,
we had a guest on the show, John Bryant, who's a musician, not a comedy musician, but unfortunately. But he was talking about how the industry, the music side of things, is really like focused on the release of singles to drive an artist kind of like
Yes.
interest in the artist. And
Yeah.
are you writing songs now? You know, you just said you're going to have to ramp that up again with anticipation of an album or single releases.
The way that I've been approaching it with 604 with Comedy Here Often is releasing a whole album and sending that over to Just for Laughs Canada for the satellite radio play.
Yeah.
And then using the music video releases to sort of bump each single that already exists and it's already out there. So it's not so much about releasing one song. It's more like supporting that song with a video, which is more leaning into the comedy side of it because those videos can support the songs in a good way. And that's why for this last album, the plan is to make a lot more music videos. So there's going to be at least 3 that we've got planned and possibly more. So
the music video industry has changed so much over the past few years as well. Like it kind of completely democratized where it's possible to have a video for, you know, a number of singles off an album and not blow the budget.
Yes.
Like
yes,
that's crazy. Like
Yeah.
not everything has to be Thriller for God's sakes, but it can look like it.
Yes, it's true. And it's really
Everyone filming on their iPhones, you mean?
Well, you know, maybe not just iPhones.
No, but people being using their ingenuity to take small budgets and make them be interesting to watch. Or I think OK Go was a big part of that. They started with these little videos that were just made out of choreography, essentially in their, I think one of their sister-in-law's backyards or something. And then people just love those videos, and as they love them, they got bigger budgets to do more and more extraordinary things with their videos. And that's where they started. And I think people are using the tools they have available with, you know, varying results as guys.
For sure.
Like people just making videos with their, you know, they're not, you know, it's kind of like a sea of garbage with little gems floating around in it. You have to you're swimming through all this garbage looking for the gems, but the gems are there. And when people get it right, it's amazing.
Isn't that true in all art? Just a sea of garbage with some gems floating through. Really stand-up podcasts, music, anything, because anyone can do it.
Now, especially there's a data overload of people who really think they got something to say, and that has varying results for sure.
Sam, you were going to say something. I cut you off.
No, just like you can even do good stuff on an iPhone. It's crazy.
You can.
Yeah, like we were talking to Baby No Money. Are you familiar with him?
Baby Gnome?
Wow.
Oh my God, I have a son?
No, it's Baby No Money. He's a rapper. And I think he was saying how he was doing all his music videos on iPhones. And like, once you find out what your audience wants, like you can just put out shit and people love it. And you know what your audience wants, but you don't put out shit.
Oh, thank you.
And for that, we thank you.
Wait, are you saying my audience wants shit?
No, I'm saying they'll accept shit.
Yes. Well, there's also like the technical knowledge. Sometimes people will look at something and they'll be like, I like this. This is good. While someone who maybe knows something about making videos or mixing music will be like, this is absolute garbage. This person doesn't know what they're doing, but it doesn't, in the end, it doesn't matter, does it?
Fuck them. Sorry, excuse my language.
You've done all sorts of styles. I mean, you've done country music, and now you're into club music. I know you did a jazzy type song. What's your favorite style to perform in? Or to write in, maybe?
I mean, I guess it'll always be like acoustic guitar, folk country, just because that's how I started, and it's a really good bare bones way of writing a tune. And you can dress up any kind of folk and country song and make it into a lot of different genres, but like underneath all of it, it just kind of helps you get the idea out. And I like the guitar, I just like the live instrument part of it for live shows, because I can hold on a certain chord if I want to like riff on a thing I've said, or if something's happened in the audience and I'm joking with someone in the middle of the song, it gives me a bit more control over the performance. So yeah, I always love my little guitar. What can I say?
Yeah, and I think because it shows off your musicianship, and you've got such a great voice, great guitar player, and that the sort of club style music, I don't know if that's what it's called or not,
That's
doesn't
appropriate.
show that off as much.
No, it doesn't. I mean, that's more about the parody of the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that Kevy is such a great producer and he can make these really legitimate pop tracks. I just wanted to take advantage of that. Like I don't play any instruments on those tracks. They're all just computer things that Kevy puts together. I just give him the chords. Like it's very, in fact, it's very easy to make those songs. It's a lot easier to do that than to do a fully produced country song with all these different instruments. So, I'm pretty lazy at times. So I kind of like the pop for that. But I appreciate what you're saying about the musicianship because I think ultimately that is where I'm coming from. So,
speaking of cunnilingus, I was thinking of this. Did you watch? Were you a fan of Seinfeld, the sitcom?
I was not.
Okay.
Many people are shocked, but I didn't get it.
Well, I was watching in order all of them with my son, young teenager, and many of the episodes are they're episodes about cunnilingus, masturbation, lots of things, and it's all artfully discussed because it was network TV, right?
Yes,
so
sponge.
It was only hinted at.
Yes,
and that takes, I guess, a lot of discipline. A lot of, I mean, but what I want to know, is it harder to write that way, or is it just hard in general to write anything creative? Like what I'm saying is your songs will not beat around the bush. They will just come right out and say what you're talking about.
Yes, they do that. I'm just a shit disturber. I can't help it. Like usually all of my jokes start with the subtle, nuanced, innuendo. And then this part of me just goes, penis, you mean penis. That means penis. Like, that's just me. I can't help it. So I'm just basically ruining innuendo and building a career off of it. But I do understand the art of doing it. And that's kind of the thing. I'm breaking the rule. And I know I'm breaking the rule. And I like breaking the rule.
Right. But you will never then get into the mainstream network kind of stuff.
Yeah, probably not. But that's not why I got into this fucking game, man.
Yeah, I know. But at some point, you want the more people that know you, the better.
I know. This is always this conflict I have of like, if I just toned it down, then I get to more people. But then I wouldn't be doing what people like me doing. And the people that are into what I do like the fact that I'm a shit disturber, and they like the punk rock part of my act. And they like that I'm speaking truth about sex, especially because we have such a sex negative culture and we have so much prudish, sort of puritanical, weird ideas and misconceptions about sex. And so me just coming up being like, with like no shame, I think the people who like what I do find that refreshing, and I don't want to lose that. And I will talk about, like, on this new album, I am talking about other stuff, and that's okay. But I don't think I'll ever lose that part of it because it's just sort of a part of what I believe in about the world,
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't want to sell out and then have your fans go, "What is she doing now?"
I'll sing a little
just
song
to
about
gain some new friends.
When you go into your bedroom and a la la la. Like, no, I'm not. Fuck that shit. We don't need any more of that shit. We have plenty more of that shit. Fuck it.
Oh, there you go. Hey, it's time for another cold read from Shirley Gnome. But here you go.
This is Dirty, Dirty Shirley Gnome, and you're listening to What's So Funny with Clean Cut Guy and Uncut Sam on CFRO 100.5 FM, Vancouver, Rudy.
Vancouver, what?
I started laughing. I couldn't focus anymore.
Oh, very good.
See, this
very
is
good improv.
I can't help it. I'm sorry.
That's great.
What is your most evergreen song?
What is
Do you find that your fans, like, no matter what year it is, what's going on in the world, like that one you can always sing and your fans will love it?
So far, at this point in time, 2020, that song is and has remained the glitter song.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I get that. I still have people want me to play that one all the time.
And the gist of that song, people, if you haven't heard it, is you get glitter in all your parts and it's hard to get off.
Ah, hee hee hoo hoo hoo, glitter in places where glitter shouldn't go. Ah, la 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 la. Is that good innuendo? Am I doing a good job?
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, it's an operetta. That's right.
Yes, right.
Yeah, no, it isn't. Hey, now
it's not at all.
you are you going to sing us another song?
Why, sure I can.
Oh, that would be awesome. Anything you want. We don't know.
All right. Okay. I've got a song that I know we're talking about comedy and what is so funny, but I'd like to talk about what's so serious right now for just a moment, if you don't mind. You see, I just recently found out something pretty heavy. I found out that I can't have children because I don't want to. The doctors say there's nothing they can do about it. But ever since I started talking about this decision I've made, a lot of parents have been telling me that I'm being selfish for not having children. And you know what? They're right. And I am deeply ashamed. For indeed, I am selfish. Some folks will try to keep their partner from leaving by making a life. Nothing fixes a broken romance like a newborn screaming all night. Or to show their devotion by going forth and multiplying to get into heaven on Judgment Day. Proving to everybody at church that they're definitely not gay. Or to get some tax-free welfare, to have 3 and live for free. If only I were capable of that level of financial responsibility. Lovingly, you can make a baby and make it love you, no matter what you do or say, like an emotional support dog that lives longer and has your face. So giving, generous, and wise, every parent is the selfless kind. But since I refuse to make a life, then I know, just by default, I'm selfish. I lament my foolish ways with my exorbitant amount of free time, and I'll wipe my tears away with all the money I've saved. And I'll wake up racked with guilt after getting adequate sleep, and distract myself by planning my next vacation. I hear them saying, "You're missing out. You'll regret it when it's too late." And they're right. I may never get to pretend that I'm happy when I know deep down I made a huge mistake. I'll never know what it's like to stay at the bar to avoid going home, or to lock myself in the bathroom to have special mommy cry time on her own. No, like a fool, I risk hurting alone, with no child to suffer my mistake or ever think it was their own. Instead, I let a parade of gorgeous men make love to me just for fun, and we scream, "No babies," when we come. Then we sigh, so satisfied and selfish. But 4 days out of the month, I get horny and sentimental, and this voice within my ovaries says, "Come on, get parental." Well, how could that voice be wrong? How could hormones make a mistake? And why does it use the same voice that tells me to eat an entire chocolate cake? If I were good, I would submit take my choice, relinquish it, make them happy, but instead I don't, and I won't, 'cause I'm stupid, lazy, self-indulgent, promiscuous, and never sarcastic or ironic. And oh yes, I'm also selfish.
Brava.
Yes.
Shirley Gnome, that was great. And that
Yes.
was deep. And you hit everybody. You hit us parents and you hit people without kids as well. You hit yourself.
I do love to hit myself at my own songs. That's my favorite.
And again, what it makes these songs for me is how they work musically as well as the lyrics.
I appreciate that.
All right, then. Wow. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you ever get hecklers?
Less and less as time goes on. I mean, this year I have had very few.
Yeah. They don't
Womp womp.
ring your doorbell and
hello, I'm here to. Oh, it's Shirley Gnome. Fuck you. Show us your tits. Woo! No, that doesn't happen anymore. Some things I don't miss about playing. When I was playing shows, I occasionally, like less and less, like I said, and usually I just rip into them so hard.
Mm-hmm.
I usually can stop them unless they're so drunk that they don't know what's going on and they have to be like taken out of the venue. There's nothing you can really do about that. But most of the time I can handle it. And no one's ever, I usually, like, not to toot my own horn, but I'm usually the smartest person that's got a microphone at that point. So I can, I can be like, oh, it's not hard most of the time. The kind of person who thinks this is my moment to shine is a fucking moron. So, rip, rippity-doo, rip you apart, or rip you apart.
you do it in song. That's how you rip them apart.
Sometimes I do, actually. I'll just start playing a few chords and make up a little ditty. That always like kills, because then people are like, oh, she's making up a song about how this guy's a moron. It must be true.
So, did you actually make it up, or is it like, many practiced improvs?
Yeah, probably a little bit of a mix. Like,
okay, good.
There are certain chord progressions that just work, right? So
yeah,
I just go to my classic C, G, D, back to G, Let
it resolve and tell them to go fuck themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So, yeah.
A lot of a lot of stand-ups began as musical acts. I mean, not a lot, but some. Billy Connolly. Whoa. Billy Connolly was a folk musician.
No, guy, can you start that again, but with accurate information?
Some stand-ups started as musical acts.
Some.
Billy Connolly was a folk musician. The Smothers Brothers, still a musical act. And guys like Pete Barbuti. But what they found, especially Billy Connolly, is the talking in between just got more and more, so they became more comedy. And I'm just wondering, because you're funny when you're not singing as well, and have you ever thought of, hey, I should just try stand-up, straight stand-up?
Yeah, great question. I did try straight stand-up when I was 15 years old at my high school. Variety show kind of a thing, and it was and is to this day the most terrified and nervous I have ever been getting on stage. And I went fine and I got off and I'm like, I am not doing that ever again. And here we are.
But it went fine.
It went fine. But if I had to live my whole life, and so much of your life is the 30 minutes before you get on stage thinking, what the fuck am I doing? And if it was at that intensity of insecurity and self-doubt, I would turn into a stand-up comedian, wouldn't I? Yeah. So no thanks, not for me.
You could also have the guitar and just have the audience think that you're about to play a song the whole time and you never get to it. I think has that been done, Sam?
Isn't that Jack Benny?
Oh,
well,
I don't know.
Maybe he played his violin a bit.
Yeah.
There was an
Henny
act
Youngman.
I heard about in Australia, a stand-up who, I don't know who it is, and maybe if this rings a bell, but he had, on his show, he had a saxophone on a spotlight on stage. So you think, okay, at some point he's gonna pick that up. He never talks about it, and he never picks it up, and he just does the show, and then you're just like, what the fuck was that saxophone doing there the whole
That's
time?
funny. I don't
It's
think that
so
could work
funny.
in North America, though.
You don't think so?
No, like that seems like such a English, British, Australian kind of absurd joke.
You're right.
That is
But
just,
Sam,
Yeah.
our last guest on this program was Jeremy Hotz, who's in town this week.
Nice.
And he said that he once asked to have a grand piano on stage.
Yeah.
And so they brought in the grand piano. They paid for a tuner who worked on it all day. And then they told him, yeah, it's, it plays nicely. He goes, oh, I don't need it. I just want to lean on it.
yeah, that's right. Well, there's only one Jeremy Hotz.
Fair. Yeah, that's amazing.
Shirley, so this is your 5th time on the show, as we've mentioned a few times. I want you to give us a scoop about yourself that nobody knows about.
Oh my God. I'm a bit of an open book.
Yeah, that's the problem, hey? But there must be something.
Must be something. Let me think. Some beautiful, sweet nugget of undiscovered truth about me. Oh boy. I stopped drinking. People don't know that. I actually stopped drinking.
Really?
Yeah, I stopped drinking.
When?
Congratulations.
Thank you. During this pandemic, I stopped drinking.
That's usually when people drink more.
Yes.
I know. I had the reverse reaction. So I'm sober.
Wow.
I still fucking hit the bong though. Woo!
Do you replace it with like lemonade? What do you have to drink something?
Club soda. Oh, I'm so lame.
Wow.
I'm drinking club soda
and not LaCroix?
LaCroix. Okay, I'm lame for knowing how to actually pronounce it. It's pronounced LaCroix. Yeah.
What the hell Croix is pronounced Croix?
If you go to
maybe
the website,
in the States.
If you go
is
to
it
the
American?
Website, probably. I mean, they have a far larger selection of LaCroix when you go to America, so I would assume so.
Oh, yes. In the U.S., it is pronounced Croix to rhyme with soy or toy or boy. But in the rest of the world, it's pronounced Croix.
What?
Yeah.
So I've been Americanized and I didn't even know it.
Exactly.
Ew, get it off of me.
Sorry, I just needed to brag about speaking nothing in French, but yeah. So have you been drinking artisanal sparkling water?
I have, I'm not gonna lie, I have experimented with a few kinds of boutique kombucha.
That's not sparkling water, that's sparkling shit. That stuff's the worst.
Goes down awful and then sits in you nice and smooth.
That's the opposite of whiskey. Good for you for quitting drinking.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
congrats.
By the time this comes out, maybe I'll have started again. I don't know. But right now, in this beautiful moment, I wake up in the morning and I don't put whiskey in my coffee. So there you go.
You were putting whiskey in your coffee in the morning?
Hey, it's been so nice talking to you guys. Oh my
God. Don't judge.
No, it's no judgment. It's like even more great because I know people who have quit drinking right now because they're concerned about gaining 2 pounds, but they weren't hitting the bottle at 9 a.m.
Look, I only did that in the hardest parts of the hardest tours. I'll be honest about that.
Oh well, that's allowed,
right? So
yeah. It's called Tuesday.
It's called fucking Tuesday. No, I wasn't doing that at home. I guess on vacation, you wake up, you put a little something in there. But no, it wasn't a
sure.
No.
If it's in coffee, the caffeine offsets
Yes,
the alcohol.
okay.
Everyone knows that.
And if it's at brunch, it's just water. It's just substitutes for water, right?
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of my touring, it's my touring life that led me to drink a lot. And when I stopped touring, the temptations left and I suddenly was like, oh, I actually don't really need to do this. So it's totally different, I think, and that's why.
It's great.
I know that's why you first started performing is for the free drinks.
I know,
I
it's
heard
all
that.
come full circle, so it's very strange in this weird moment in reality. Yeah.
So no more virtual concerts for you lined up?
Not for a while. I feel like I'm gonna sort of see how it goes, especially when we get into the fall and no one really knows how bad the second wave is going to be. And, people might get stuck in their houses again. And there's a part of me that I ultimately really just like cheering people up. I do really like making people happy. And if we're all stuck indoors, I think I'm going to be compelled to do more. And luckily now I have a guy named Paul Hendricks. He works at the Rio Theater. He's a wonderful guy, a wonderful friend of mine, and an excellent tech. And he actually ran the tech on my last live stream that I did. And so I'm hoping that we can collaborate so that I don't have to do that part of it anymore, which will take a lot of the stress off of me that was really wearing me down.
Yeah.
So if we're allowed to be in the same room at that point, I'm going to bring him in to run that. And I think we'll find some success that way. People tipped him last time. It was really awesome. So yeah, so it's more likely in the future. And we'll just have to see what happens.
House parties, I guess they're out. But you do those too, right?
I used to, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I had some of the most fun shows I ever did were just in someone's living room for a group of really enthusiastic people. So those were great. Yeah, yeah, it was, and a nice way to fill in sort of off nights on a tour as well. Do them on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and yeah, those were good times. I got I know a lot of good people. I've toured around a lot. I've met a lot of really awesome people who want to support me and have me in for shows like that. So I'm very lucky in that regard.
And we're very lucky to have you for the 5th time.
Aww.
How's that for a segue to end the show?
Well, it's been really lovely. Actually, I love talking to you guys, and I'm glad that we could do this.
We love talking to you, and thanks for playing 2 songs that you hadn't played before with us.
My pledge.
Yeah, they're great. And so people can check out all of your music. Where's the best place? One-stop shopping.
Ooh, well, there's no such thing really, because my independent releases are on my website, and then 604 Comedy Here Often are on their website. So if you want my new stuff, go to 604shop.com. And you'll find my new vinyl just came out for this new album. You'll find a couple of items of merch. And then if you're more of an online streaming person, Spotify is the spot where I think everything is aggregated. So go check it out there. And then, my social media is a good place to keep track of me for new releases and music videos and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Shirley Gnome.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Shirley.
Guy. Thanks, Sam. That was so fun. It was nice talking to you.
Great talking to you, and stay happy.
I will. Right back at you.
You will.
All right. Thanks very much.
Bye.